My name is Karl Vilacoba, as you see here on the slide, and I am the Portal Project Manager for the Mid-Atlantic Ocean Data Portal. And I also work as the Communications Director for Monmouth University's Urban Coast Institute, which is located in West Long Branch, just about a mile from the beach on the Jersey Shore. So for today, I'll be giving a couple of slides worth of just general background on the portal and the project. I'll talk about the site and give a tour of Marine Planner, which is our GIS ocean planning application. And I'll also then open it up to a Q&A session. But as I said earlier, since we do have a small group, I encourage you to hop in at any time. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to stop me if there's something you'd like more detail on as you see it. So to get started, I often put the portal in perspective by showing a picture like this, which is what most people see when they go to the beach, put their chair in the sand and look out at the water. And in their mind, you know, there's nothing going on out there. It's just this completely calm, serene, vast, watery void. But the truth is actually much different, and especially here in the Mid-Atlantic. The ocean is actually a very busy place, and it's getting busier all the time. And this map captures a little bit of that, where you can see we've got lots of cargo shipping traffic coming in and out from the Port of New York and New Jersey, which is the busiest on the East Coast. We are a nexus point for submarine cable communication, connecting us to Europe and other places across the ocean. Lots of commercial fishing activity, recreational boating, and now offshore wind is on the way, to name a few. And what the portal does is help show how all of these things connect to each other, or in some cases conflict with one another, so that people who are in ocean management roles can make better informed decisions. And for those just joining, if you could just mute, and unless you have any questions, you can hop in at any time and let me know. So what's on the portal currently? About 6,000 different map layers that you can turn on one at a time or in any combination with each other, organized under 13 categories or themes, as we call them. We have some tools to help users share their maps and collaborate in groups. And we have some instructional and educational resources, including a portal blog, ocean stories, which I'll show you, a calendar of events, and some semi-monthly webinars like this one. The portal team currently is Monmouth University's Urban Coast Institute, where I sit, Rutgers University, Duke University, New York Department of State, and our developer EcoTrust out of Portland, Oregon, working under the guidance of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Council on the Ocean, or MARCO. And for those who aren't familiar with MARCO, it is a 5-state consortium formed to work together on ocean issues. And for the Mid-Atlantic, we consider that everything from New York State down through Virginia. And our current chair is Delaware, Kimberly Cole from DENREC. One of the things that the portal did was consolidate, bring in a lot of information that was kind of scattered in 100 different government websites, and bring it all under one umbrella, really curated for information that was very specifically of use to people in the Mid-Atlantic. And to that end, the federal level portal, the Marine Cadastre, is a very important data source for us. We have created a lot of our own data, which I'll show you. A lot of it in combination with NROC, which is our counterpart to the north, with its portal covering New England. And we have shared, and in some cases, take a lot of information from the states that have their own portals. A couple of examples of how the portal has been and is being used. Offshore wind is a major driver of the portal, and the maps that we've added to it over recent years. I think when I first started on this project in 2015, we had about 135 maps. And as I said a few slides ago, now we're up to about 6,000 plus. And a lot of that is revolves around getting information out there to make more informed decisions on offshore wind, whether it be government agencies, which are trying to determine the places to allow offshore wind that won't disrupt traditional uses like shipping and fishing, or disrupt marine habitats, marine life, or whether it's one of those industry users like fishing, which wants to make it known to the agencies that a certain area that's being considered should be removed, or should be proceed with caution because it's an important fishing grounds or something along those lines. The Coast Guard has been a very key user of the portal. Recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, they've been working on a series of port access route studies, which are basically looking at all of the major ports along the East Coast and considering, in light of offshore wind, in light of climate change, in light of major infrastructure happenings at the ports, are there new shipping lanes or adjustments that need to be made? Are there areas that can need new anchorage areas to serve increased shipping? Decisions like that. And they've used data on the portal to help complete those analyses, and have also used the portal to help sort of get the word out on their findings and generate more public feedback on them. The submarine cable industry has been a big user. For a lot of people may think that in this wireless world that's a thing of the past, the submarine telecom cable, but it really, with the internet, it's as crucial as ever. Some 98% of all overseas communications are carried by these cables, and we've seen more of them being built in recent years, including, you can see 2 right there coming into Virginia Beach, which were created by Microsoft and Facebook in partnership to reach overseas areas, including Bilbao, Spain. And the portal was used to help guide those alignments, so they steered clear of areas that were important to the Navy for training exercises, or past munitions dumped, or areas where there's a lot of bottom tending fishing gear activity, which could get snagged on the lines and be an expensive fix. And also, one thing that we didn't foresee when we first put the portal together was its importance as an educational tool. And we're seeing more and more classrooms throughout the Mid-Atlantic, just, middle school, high school, marine science classes and science classes using it to help create activities for the classroom centered around what's going on in the ocean. And that's been a really cool thing. It's also really pushed us to help keep it very simple, because we, now know that the range of users can be real GIS pros right on down to 6th graders who are just curious to look at where sharks live. And I'll jump to the portal now, but I'll show this slide at the end, which has my contact information, and also Nick Napoli, who manages this portal along with the Northeast data portal, which covers New England, as I mentioned earlier. So here is the portal. And for those who would like to try to follow along, it's at portal.midatlanticocean.org. You're welcome to log in yourself and try some things out if you like as we go. And here is the homepage. We have this ticker here, which kind of has a carousel of recent additions and announcements. And up here, map, or right down here, if you scroll down, view maps, gets you to what I'd call the main event of the portal, which is Marine Planner. But before I jump into that, I want to just point out a few other resources that might be of interest. Here, our news page, our blog, is a great resource if you are a semi-frequent portal user and you're checking in, you want to find out what's new. You'll find announcements here for any recent data releases, any significant tool upgrades. Any of these articles will tell you, how you can find the data, how to use things, all of that to help you get caught up. Our ocean stories is kind of our own homebrew story map function. Some of these are more like traditional story maps where they're just educational walk through some of the data we have kinds of things. And others are more in like what I'd call like a digital magazine type of feature. So here's one, for example, where I did an overnight trip on a scallop ship out of Point Pleasant and kept a trip diary, talking to the captains who'd been doing it for about 50 years. They talked about how the industry's changed, how they were worried about how scallops they were finding are just going further offshore, further north into the colder waters and different areas that were taking them now many, many hours to reach, where it used to only be, a half hour, 45-minute trip. And it was an interesting story. And what you see here, this strip up there, shows map data, which can help tell the story, and it changes as you scroll down. And the story helps explain, what you're seeing in the map. These sometimes have photos and videos and stuff, so they're a neat educational feature as well. We have a calendar here for webinars like this one or other meetings throughout the region that have some kind of tie to ocean planning. And you guys are all free to send us items if you have any that you'd like listed here. We're happy to do that. Under this data tab here, the data catalog is our full-on list of all of the different maps that we have. Each of these, when you go into fishing and look at the fishing maps, if they're downloadable, you'll find it there. Further information about how they came to be, their metadata, stuff like that. The groups, I will show those to you in a little bit. A neat tool that you can start your own group, like if you are a teacher and want to have something for your class, or if you have a group of coworkers who are working around a project, you can all share maps into this one common area so that you don't have to send a million emails back and forth. You can set it to private so that no one can see, or you can leave it open for community people to join and become members. And finally, this help tab, using the portal. Here we have short videos, tutorial content, so that if there's something after this webinar that you're not sure about, you forget, you can probably find the information here and remind yourself how I did whatever I did. So with that, we'll jump over to the map. And here is Marine Planner. And as you see on the left, our full list of the 13 themes. The first one, alphabetically, being administrative, and this tends to be government boundaries and the like. So to turn on any map on the portal, all you have to do is just click, any of these circles. I'll turn on a few to show that, you can put them on in any different combination. And what you see here, the legend, you can scroll and decode what you're seeing there. The active tab, this allows you to manipulate the data a bit, or from what you're seeing, the cartography. So for example, one like the OCS boundaries, you can click here to make it lighter or darker. You can click the X to remove it, or the hole here to mute it temporarily. And again, here's another one. You can turn it up. You can slide them up and down so that, one layer is on top of the others. So this one, back and forth. And then what you see here also, these green eye for information icons. You can click any of these for a quick summary of what you're looking at. So that one's congressional districts. It has a brief couple of sentences of description, and read more will take you straight to its data catalog entry. And there you'll find more information. If the data is downloadable, you can do that here. A link to metadata, a link to the source, basically the agency that created it. And then if you are a GIS user, you have your own software on your own desktop, here is the layer ID, and if you can ingest it given your software, so that can be useful too. Now I'll mention that we view ourselves as a public information effort and want to the extent we can, always make things downloadable. There are some layers where, due to privacy concerns or some other matter, that we can't make them downloadable, but I think the vast majority of our stuff is. So moving down to fishing, artificial reefs, that is one of the most frequently activated layers on the portal. And you can see them all here. Click on them for a pop-up that tells you the name of that reef if it has one. And then beneath that are the real two major divisions of our fishing data. VMS, which is for vessel monitoring system, essentially electronic tracking of ships to show where they went in these various time windows. And these maps are showing by catch type. So for example, squid, surf clam, scallop, and you'll see in a lot of these cases, you'll see here's scallop 2015 and 16. And then you have another option to view it by, sorry, I got lost there for a sec, by 5 knots or less. And the important difference right there is that that takes away the transit, essentially, so that you can see the areas that they're moving slower and more likely to be doing actual fishing. So both of them can be important in their own ways, but they're just two ways of looking at it depending on your needs and what you're researching. VTR are the based on vessel trip reports that the fishermen all submit from, and these are by gear type. So instead of scallop or surf clam, you'll see, for example, dredge, which would capture most of that kind of activity. We also call these our communities at sea maps, because you can click on these maps for a pop-up that will tell you all of the ports that relied on that area at sea. So in this case, clicking out there, you see Barnegat, Cape May, Massachusetts, Virginia, Montauk. So it gives you a real idea of how interstate the fishing activity is out there, how it crosses state lines. And this could be something of real use, for example, for an agency or a developer that wants to do public outreach because it's considering doing something out there. And they'll know that, for example, in this spot right here, we should probably talk to people in Barnegat and Cape May and all the rest. You can also click on the ports for a pop-up with some economic information about that port. So Point Pleasant here again, 4,709 total trips in that 2011 through 15 window, good for about 10% of the entire regional total, and 27,000 fisher days. So an indication of how important that is to the economy out there. So let me close out of them. Scroll down to our next theme, the by port. So this is a way, let's say, again, using that 11 through 15 window for scallop, or I'm sorry, for dredge. Let's say you only wanted to see where Point Pleasant people went and fished. You can click this and it'll show you where 90% of their effort was spent in that window. So a way of really getting at kind of the local story for each of these ports. Now, marine life, a whole lot of data here, including migratory birds, fish species from trawl data, spring and fall collected from 2010 through 19. We've got these here, which show um, basically how they've changed through the decades. You've got this folder of marine mammal data. And for something like that, all cetaceans abundance. And this gives you a peek at pretty much at models based on past research of where they are likely to be at any point throughout the year. But in our next theme, our marine life library, which has species data, you could then really get a little further into this by, instead of looking at marine mammals or baleen whales, for example, looking only at humpbacks. So you can type in any marine mammal name and it'll give you some returns after a few letters. So for example, humpbacks, it is June, where would they be now? And you can see this map. I'll darken that a little bit to make it more visible. So, you know, the marine life theme is maybe one way to get that initial glance, you know, more higher level look at their full range. And then if you want to do further research, you can look at the marine life library for species information and a little more pegged to the time period. Beneath that, maritime, we're talking a lot of human use data here. AIS, these are like essentially easy pass transponders that are on the boats that are pinging infrastructure on land, pinging the satellites, other boats to where they are. And you can see various vessel types here. So all traffic is one. If you wanted to only look at cargo vessel, fishing vessel, passenger, tankers, tugs, tows, pleasure craft and sailboat vessels, you can do all that. And this is for the full-on year view. But we also offer monthly views of this. I'll move in a little closer to show you this with our monthly sliders. And we now have this for 2011 through 2021. So a good decade worth of data. So you can click on this, click on the button to view slider. It'll open it up in our active tab. And now you can see all of those different vessel types and the different months. And you can toggle through them manually to see how they change, or you can just click this button here to automatically animate them. And we have some different data types that you can see throughout our various themes that have that kind of slider, which is a pretty cool feature. But scrolling down here, you see sand data, submarine cables and pipelines, wrecks and obstructions, and more for maritime. Oceanography, we're talking layers that help show the physical characteristics of the ocean. We've got fronts probability. We've got some historic hurricane activity here too, including a slider, which shows you tracks going back to 1980. And you can click there to see how they've changed. They are color coded by whether it's a category 1, 2, etc. Sea surface temperatures, bottom surface temperatures, very important. And we have developed a lot of this in partnership with Maricus, who, if you're familiar with their site, the Oceans Map, they have real-time data. So what is the ocean temperature in a given spot right now at this moment, where we take that data and maybe, you know, create windows of 10 years of full averages per month or something like that to give a long range view. Recreation, we have some information here. Recreational, coastal recreation, we did this basically a survey of Mid-Atlantic residents and visitors with the Surfrider Foundation for shore-based activities. So where people like to go, just go to the beach, You can see another one here, surface water activities. That's like boogie boarding, surfing, skimboarding, underwater activities, wildlife and sightseeing, and so forth. So beyond that, recreational boater survey we did with Marco to figure out where people like to go, what their routes were, what they did where in certain points, whether it be fishing, sightseeing, that kind of thing. And there's some different information available for each state. Renewable energy, probably our most frequently hit theme. So you're going to see here 4 different main categories of our data. Essentially, they show, they're in order of how far along a project is. So for this first one, planning and lease areas, the #1 most clicked layer on a given month tends to be active energy, renewable energy leases. So these are the areas that have been leased by BOEM. Not necessarily that there's construction there or anything, but they do have leases to them. And you can see by the legend, they are color coded to show who owns or who has the leases for each area. You can click on them for a pop-up for more information to find out those identifications. Also in this folder, you can see the wind planning areas. So these are other areas that haven't been leased but are in various stages of planning by BOEM. And then under that, projects under review, permitted projects, and finally, operational offshore energy projects. So there's basically 2 anywhere near us, one in Virginia and one off the coast of Rhode Island, Block Island. And I'll go down to Virginia here to show that. You can see the power cable route, and there's currently 2 turbines in that area that are active and are being studied, these test turbines. So they are right there. There's the locations. And then if you wanted to see the full lease area for that, you can turn that on too. All right, so I'll clear out of that. A couple more to go. Seafloor habitat, a lot of great stuff here showing the canyons, bathymetry, what the terrain is like on the bottom of the ocean. So here, I'll turn on a few. I love this one. You can get a real cool look at all of the canyons out there and what their contours are like. There's other stuff here, undersea place names. Artificial reefs is repeated there for people who are looking at it for that purpose and not as a fishing reason. Security, a lot of declassified data here from the Navy. One of the most often used here is the danger zones and restricted areas, showing where boaters are restricted from going, whether all year round, different times of years. You can click on that for a pop-up that in some cases has more information about it. Others are showing areas where they do drills, submarine transit lanes, those kinds of things. Socioeconomic, basically some information here indicating the importance of the ocean to the region's economy. I think a good one is Ocean Economics GDP, and it gives, through the shading, an idea of how much economic activity was generated based directly on the ocean. And another one there that gives another look at that is ocean employment as a % of county employment. So this is more of a pound for pound thing. So with that other one, for example, Manhattan is probably huge. But this one would show for example, Cape May, which is a very seasonal kind of economy, here in dark red as having a very high percent, 24% of all of its employment directly dependent on the ocean. And then finally, water quality. Ocean acidification monitoring locations. We have some ones here where we've done balloon and other debris beach monitoring to see where hotspots might be. Offshore discharge flow. We're in the process of updating these sites to show, where there's pipes that either push sewerage or other kinds of discharge out to sea. And I'll stop there with my data look and show a couple of tools real quickly. On the right here, we have a print export button. Some of these might not be visible to you if you're not logged into Marine Planner. I would recommend sign up for a portal account. All you just need is an email, and it does unlock certain capabilities that you don't have. You've got a share this map button if you want a short URL, or an embed code if you want to put something on your own website. You've got a linear measurement tool. So for example, how far is it from the shore to the mouth of the Hudson Canyon? And you can get that measurement in miles, kilometers, or nautical miles. An area measurement tool. So, how far, what's the square mileage of this area that I just created? A new drawing that will queue off. I'll show you a Marine Planner in a second. And then finally, add an arc rest layer for people who have the URLs for map services that are on external sites. You can paste them into here along with their layer ID, and it will basically import them on a session basis, meaning it won't permanently be in the portal once you refresh your browser to be gone. But you can take in data from outside sites, whether they be ocean related or terrestrial, anything. A couple quick things I want to show just before I finish up and turn this over to Q&A. Our bookmarks, again, this is for registered user. So let's say you create a map that shows an overlap between, we'll say, artificial reefs here, and we'll go with recreation. I'll choose New Jersey recreation. Zoom in a bit. And I think it's kind of interesting to show this relation because these reefs are kind of like the donut holes where you can see right there where they always sit in the middle of these hot spots. So I'll brighten that up. And now I want to save this. I'll go to my planner, create a bookmark. I'll call it New Jersey Rec and Reefs. And you could give it a description if you like. Reefs and rec overlap. Add bookmark. So what that means is now when I'm coming into Marine Planner, completely cold, if I go to my Planner tab, I've got a ton of bookmarks. Most people don't have this many, but I think I called that New Jersey Rec and Reefs. All I'd have to do is click there and it will activate it, even to the point that I adjusted the opacity to make it brighter. And now let's say you want to share that. You can create a group. Here's one way. Let's say I wanted to create a group for today, this How Tuesday one. I'll call it, let's see, description. How Tuesday, June 7th. You can add an image. I'll click that. Oh, well, I forgot to give it a name, and it has my email, but that's okay. I'll delete it right after this session. So let's say I go back there to my bookmarks, and I want to share this great map that I just created. All I'd have to do is click on the gear icon to the right, share bookmark, and you actually have a few options. You can create a short URL if you wanted to send it to somebody, or your embed map, or click groups. And I would just scroll down. These are all groups that I'm a member of, a lot of them. And what was mine? My email, I think, by accident. Yeah. Share. And now anybody who joined that group, and if you're in the portal and you wanted to access that, you could. All you'd have to do is find that group, which is right here, and you'd see a button to join the group. But you see right there, New Jersey Wreck and Reefs. I can click right on it and open it up right there. And if you're a member of that group, you would have that within your bookmarks now. Same thing with drawings. You could draw shapes, lines, points. Let's say I wanted to illustrate, here's an area where there's a very high overlap of reefs and recreation. Next, give it a name. New Jersey Reefs, Rec, Shape. And I'll save that. And there you go. Again, you can use My Planner to share that with other people. You know what? And then one last thing I'll just show you before I move on. By default, we're in this ocean-based map when you open up Marine Planner, but you do have other options, including a satellite view, physical view, Google Streets, a gray map. Sometimes that's helpful if it's a fair color and you're just trying to make it pop a little better. And then finally, here's the ocean map again. So I've talked a lot, and I think I'll just open it up now to any questions or discussion people may have. And feel free to just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Karl. Thank you so much for this. These are amazing. And such a wonderful learning opportunity. So I'm glad that you showed the base maps, because that was one of my questions. I haven't been able to get that feature to work. I can't get the nautical charts to come on.
Yeah, we ingest them, so it's possible that they were. Are they down right now?
Last week I think they were down everywhere because I couldn't get them to come up anywhere. But oh no, some of the base maps are changing for me now.
Yeah, it might just be, we're pulling them in from an external source. Yeah, and there are times where if that source is down or something like that, it might just be something that we glitch. But if that happens, please always report that to us. At the bottom of the portal, you can see the provide feedback square. You could just fill out that form, let us know what's broken. And I get that, and two other people on my team do. So between us, we'll get right back to you and look into it.
Thank you. That's great. I just had one other question, if I could take a second turn. And sure. I was wondering if you had any intention of adding the functionality to drag in like a private layer to look at it.
Yes. So we right now have the arc rest input tool. We are right now working on trying to expand that to allow people to import their own shapes, import feature services, import some other options, which we're kind of exploring what's technologically possible. Does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, so one of my colleagues just told me that you can do this on the Northeast data portal, not to kind of put the screws to you here, but so one of the things I would potentially use it for is I might get a confidential proposed cable route, and I would love to overlay that cable route with, whatever it might be, artificial reefs or sandbar areas, and it's a little tricky sometimes getting everything in one place, but this seems like a good way to do it if I can make sure that any confidential data I bring in remains confidential.
Is that layer that you're talking about published anywhere? Like, if you have the service, you can pull it in now, and then just it wouldn't be on the portal if you understand what I'm saying.
I probably don't understand what you're saying, but they're typically come in an email folder full of shape files that I can then use,
so they're actual
open an
files.
ArcPro. But right, yep.
Yeah. So it's we have a different technology stack than they use in the Northeast. So it's something that we are exploring and working to open up some new possibilities. We definitely want to do that. It might take till next year for us to get that, but for now, if it is a published service anywhere, you can bring it in.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let's see, any other questions, or anyone curious if there's something that I haven't shown, whether we might have it or not?
Hi, my name's Tanaya Norris. It's showing up as my husband's name. I guess I'm logged into his Zoom account. I have a little bit different interest in the portal. I'm working in the Gulf of Mexico region and just getting information on different portals that are out there, examples of good ones, which this one is, and examples of bad ones. Can you talk a little bit about how this interacts with the regional IUS portal? Is it pulling data and pushing data back and forth, sharing layers? And how long have you guys been working on this project, just as kind of a little bit of background?
Yeah, sure. So I'll take that last question first. The Mid-Atlantic portal is actually kind of the granddad of all of the ocean data portals. It is the first one. It started out as being a Virginia tool, and funded by Virginia CZM money back in 2010, I think. And what they quickly figured out was that this would be much better if other states were contributing to it, because fish don't know where Virginia begins and Maryland ends and so forth. So it quickly expanded, and I would say what you're looking at here, which I would kind of call like the Portal 2.0, was launched in 2015, and we've given it a lot of upgrades since then, but that version is the one that I think is a lot closer to what you're seeing today and what people are used to. In terms of the IUs, in our version, or our area, Maracus, we have been working with them for a good 5 or 6 years in an informal way, but we actually signed an MOU with them last year to formalize that arrangement, so that we now, when we do our work plan for any given year, consult with them to come up with ideas about how we can take their data. So for example, something like sea surface temperatures, where they have it at the moment right now of, what is the temperature at this moment, or here's bottom temperatures. We would take all of their data and, create new maps that have longer term averages. So we don't actually ingest anything straight from them. It's more of we're using their data and doing a lot of analysis on it and creating stuff based on it. So this is one right here, bottom temps. This is a really cool way to look at the cold pool for people who are interested in that. You look at like right around here, August, September, July. So we continue to work with them and come up with new ideas, and have been pretty active in putting out Maricus Marco partnership products for the last like 2 years. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. This has been such a great demo to see. Awesome product.
Thank you. Let's see, anyone else? Ask me anything. You know, I can give a demo of that arc rest layer real quick if you're curious for an example of what I'm talking about. And for example, I can go to the marine cadastre. It's pretty easy. So go to their data, and I'll just search. I'll try and find something that they have that I don't. Scrolling down, let's see. Leatherback turtle, Gulf of Mexico, summer density. So that is something I definitely don't have. Let's see if they have an arc rest. Okay, so I would copy this URL right up there. These are what published service pages look like. They're very plain texty, and I would click here, give it a name, paste in the URL, and instead of having that number there, that 47, that actually goes down here. The one magic word you have to type in here is export. And then I click submit. And now let's see if I go down to the Gulf, if that shows up. So there it is. And once it's in, you can manipulate it just like you can any of the portal layers to make it darker or lighter. If it does have legend data, it'll pull that in. And a cool thing here, like I said, if I hit refresh, it would be gone. But you can bookmark it. So here's one real good application. If I didn't want to lose this, and I didn't want to have to re-import and paste in all that stuff over and over again, I could just say Gulf Turtles, add bookmark, and now I would have that and be able to access it again. So that's all it takes. Again, there will be more options available to people in the very near future, something we're working on, but for now, that can get you a lot of data. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, I will go back to that last slide, which shows my email address. In the event you'd like to contact me directly, Vilacoba, cuts off the A at the end of my name, at monmouth.edu, or if you email the main portal email, which if you scroll down at the footer down here, portal@midatlanticocean.org, I get that too. And I'll always get back to you as fast as possible with that. So seeing none, I'll just thank everybody for coming out today, and we're about 10 minutes early here that you could have back in your day. And feel free to reach out anytime. And if there's, groups of you in your own workplace that want to arrange a separate private training, I'm happy to do that at any time. Just reach out to me. Thanks all, and have a great day.